Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. It's Mike here. So there's been some rumors circulating the internet lately about Digitech. There's not a lot of concrete information, so I can't say whether the news will turn out to be good or bad when it's released, but I thought it would be a nice time to circle back and talk about one of my favorite and most beloved pedals, the Digitech GNX4. Now this was a multi-effects unit that Digitech released back in 2005, and at the time it had a huge following. But even in this era of digital guitar recording via Pro Tools and Logic and all the amp modeling software that we have out there today, this pedal has held up exceptionally well. In my opinion, this is one of the greatest values you can currently find in the used market under $300. If you do well for yourself, you could find one of these for under $150. So with that said, let's get into the reasons why I think that the Digitech GNX4 is worthy of your consideration. Okay, so the first feature that I want to point out here that gives the GNX4 a lot more versatility than other amp modelers in this era is that you can blend two amp and cabinet models together through a warping function. So if you look at the selection matrix here at the top of the GNX4, you'll see 4 different rows. The first and third rows will allow you to control all the parameters for equalization and cabinet tuning, one for each amp that you can select. And then the second row here will allow you to dial in what the amp models are and whether or not you want to blend them together. So I'll turn here so you get a sense of what's going on here. So we're direct now. If I want to use the blackface model, I can turn it here. And let's leave that selected. It'll automatically pull up the best cab match. So this is an American 2x12. This next knob here is going to give you your warp. So you can see here we're at about 70, which means that we're using only about 30% of the Fender blackface. The other model is over here, and let's change that to, let's say, a rectified. That's the rectifier model, and we're going to use a vintage 4x12 amp there. So let's start out with, we'll start with the warp on 1, which will mean you'll get all blackface. So you can see a lot of additional versatility given the fact that you have the 2 amps to choose from. I think this makes this pedal a lot more useful than it otherwise would have been if you could only use 1 amp model at a time. And a lot of times I actually use the amp models in place of the distortion pedals that are built into the amp, or the distortion pedal models that are built into the amp, because some of the amp models can satisfy a particular sound better than the distortion model. So if you just play around with this, you can find some really good usable tones, and it's really fun. Okay, so the next feature that I want to point out is the built-in 8-track recorder. You have 8 separate tracks that you can see over here. You can record mono or in stereo. There's an onboard drum machine which you can incorporate and record by hitting this button here. Most of the time though, I'm only using the click track so that the drums aren't incorporated into the recording. And the reason for that is I take a lot of the tracks I record from the GNX4 and I move them over to the computer. So a couple things. You're recording to a compact flash card, and I'm going to tilt the pedal here so that you can see some of the input options that you have. So of course you can go direct, but if we move over here, you can see you've also got the opportunity to put a mic in here, line inputs, and here are your outputs over here. And over here you've got an additional set of balanced outputs with speaker compensation if you wanted to go that route. And this is your compact flash card over here. There's some MIDI ports here and your USB if you want to connect it to the computer. So there's so many different options for recording stuff or connecting into the GNX4. If you don't want to record direct, you can definitely do that. So I'm going to quickly get my guitar here. I'm going to record something super simple so that you can hear what happens when you run through and you record. But basically, all you got to do is hit the record button and you're off to the races. Okay, so we're going to get ready to record here. One thing to note, you've got to hit this shift button here and then this input source section, and you want to make sure you're on either stereo or mono effects. And what that's going to do is it will allow you to record your song without recording your click track or drums, which is what we want here. So instead of finding a new track, I think this is a good opportunity for me to show you how you would delete some tracks that were already there. So I've got some material recorded on tracks 1 and 2. I'm just going to hit this undo button. You see it says delete track 2. Hit it again, it goes away. Do it again for track 1, now it's gone. So when we start recording here, we're going to record our track 1 and 2 because we've selected a stereo setup. The other thing I'm going to do is set the click track here to on so that we have something to keep time to. So I just passed by it there. So here we go. We've got 100 beats per minute. The click track here, I'm just going to turn this wheel and turn it on. And that should set us up good to go. Alright, I'm going to grab the guitar and we'll lay down some tracks. Here we go. And that's it. So if we play it back, we should hear just the music without the click track now. Scratch that. We've got to turn the click track off first. Alright, so click track off. I'm going to rewind this. And let's see. And there it is. So super easy to record. If you want to do some more tracks on top of this, you would just hit record again. Tracks 3 and 4 would light up. Tracks 1, 2, and then if you turn the click track back on, would all play, but they would not be recorded. You'd just be kind of overdubbing on top of what you just recorded. So super useful. Alright, so the third feature that I want to point out here is that the GNX4 has built-in bass amp models that make your guitar sound essentially like a bass. So if we take this track that we've just recorded on 1 and 2 and we wanted to add a bass part to it, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to make sure that we have one of these bass models selected here, and there's a couple of them. I'm just going to go with the Brit bass. It automatically selects the cab that you need, and I'm going to turn the warp all the way to 1. Alright, here we go. I'm going to arm the recording and we're going to put a bass part on top of the chord progression that we laid down in the last segment. Here we go. Simple as that. So now you can see we've got 4 lights here. If we play it back, we should get, I'm going to turn click track off real quick here. We should get the progression with the bass and the guitar. So super useful functionality, makes it really easy to record ideas and sketch them out. It's super nice to have and really easy to use. Okay, so the next feature I want to point out is my absolute favorite on this pedal, and that's the looper feature. This is by far the best looper that I have ever used, and there's one reason for it. It's the Quantized functionality. So the Quantized functionality essentially takes the loop that you've recorded and moves it to the appropriate spot so that the loop flips over and goes back to the beginning on the right beat, so you don't end up with any off-timed beats, which makes it really super useful for laying down chord progressions and being able to sketch out ideas with the proper timing. So what you got to do to get the Quantized feature on is to use the song setup button, and it's all the way at the end here. You can see here Quantized, it's set to on. So what we're going to do next is to change the mode of the pedal so that we can access the looper. You push the 4th and the 5th switches together at the same time, and we just changed to what's called stomp box mode. We're going to do it one more time, and now we're in recorder mode. I don't know if you saw that flash by real quick. I'll do it one more time. So this is preset mode, which we've been in for the majority of the video. We just switched to stomp box right there, and now we're going to go to recorder. So the recorder mode allows you to control the recording with these buttons here. So you've got stop on the first foot switch now, or actually this is the drum machine stop. The second foot switch is going to be your stop. The third foot switch is going to be your record, and the 4th switch here, this is the important one for the looper. Once we start recording, as soon as we hit this 4th foot switch, that's going to mark the end of our loop. So I'm going to set just a basic bass loop here so that I can use my hands to operate the pedal as well, and you'll get a kind of a feel for how you can set a loop super easy with this pedal. Okay, so what's going to happen here is I'm going to hit the 3rd foot switch first to start the recording. When I hit the end of the loop, I'm going to hit the 4th foot switch, which is going to arm the next set of tracks in line. So in this case, it'll be arming tracks 3 and 4 here, and tracks 1 and 2 will start to play back in a continuous loop. Super easy. Here we go. Okay, so we just stopped it there. You can see tracks 1 and 2, they remain. You can play it back and record any of the other tracks at any time that you want. The loop is on the compact flash card, so you can utilize it again whenever you like, but super easy to do, and I hope that demonstrated how seamlessly the loops roll over. It's a lot easier than some of the other looping pedals that I've tried, where you have to hit the foot switch at exactly the right time to get it to roll over. It can be super frustrating, and I almost never get those type of loopers to line up perfectly with the timing. Okay, the next feature that I want to talk about is the drum kit. So the drum kit on the GNX4 is super useful. You've got so many different options to choose from, so many different patterns. You can incorporate them into your tracks by recording the drum kits on the 8-track recorder. But a lot of the times what I just do is use the drum kit to substitute for my metronome, and thereby improving my timing, and it makes it feel like you're playing with a real drummer. So you would come over here to get a feel for it. You could just use the drum kit as a metronome. You'd select the kit that you wanted. That doesn't come into play yet. The tempo and the level. So if we just had the metronome set, we'd hit play here. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. But if we select, let's stay with the rock kit, then we come over to the pattern and we change it to something different that isn't metronome related, you start to get some more funky beats. And some of them are really quite good. You can change the kit. Let's get to something kind of standard here. It's a basic standard rock groove that you could probably play along to. So a whole bunch of different options to choose from. It makes practicing a whole lot more fun. I love to just mess around with the drum machine and come up with different ideas, and then I come over to the 8-track recorder and lay them down. It's just really inspirational, and it's so much better than just playing with a metronome clicking in your ear for your whole session. Okay, the final feature that I want to talk about that I think gives this pedal its greatest value is that within the effects that you're given with the pedal, you've got a full-on whammy functionality. Now, I know a lot of other multi-effects units now have pitch shifting built in, but Digitech is the original whammy pedal pioneer. And within this pedal, you get nearly all the functionality that you would get in your standalone Digitech Whammy pedal. And I have a Digitech Whammy DT, and I can tell you that this pedal sounds almost identical. There's only a couple of different intervals that are not included in the GNX4, and honestly, I don't even miss them. So if space is not an issue to you and you are considering getting a Digitech Whammy pedal, definitely you should look at the GNX4, because you get so much more than just the pitch shifting functionality, and you get that whammy pedal built in. So if you want to check out the whammy pedal, what you'd have to do here is you'd come down in the matrix to this expression pedal, and you have to make sure that the expression pedal is set to whammy, because there's a lot of different things with this unit that you can set that expression pedal to control. So now we have it on the whammy pedal. We're going to move up to the whammy pitch shift line. You're going to hit the on button, and now you can see all the different intervals that you get. Okay, so we're in the 1 octave up setting. So what that means is when the pedal is in the up position, that's going to be the normal tone from your guitar, or the normal guitar signal. Not affected by the whammy. But when you depress the pedal, you'll move up an octave. And that holds. If you have 2 octave ups, it's going to be the same thing. And so on down the line. When it says down, it's going to be the reverse. So when you're in the up position, you're going to get the normal position. You're going to get the normal tone from your guitar. And in this case, you're going to go down by a second. So you get a lot of different pitch shifting options. You can see here. And like I said before, I think there's only like 1 or 2 that are on my Whammy DT that aren't in here. But honestly, most of the time, I usually leave mine in the 2 octave up position or the 1 octave up position, so I don't miss them at all. So, you know, when you're talking about picking this pedal up for, you know, anything under, you know, $300, it's, I think, a fair price. But a lot of the times you'll see these out there for like $150, and that would be what you would pay for the whammy pedal on its own. So I think super worth it to get the recorder and the drum kit and everything else that comes with this pedal. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see anything else, and I'll try to provide it. And thank you for watching.